Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on Cult of Collectors. Joining me tonight is Charlie from Raging Entertainment, and we have Lana Winters as our guest tonight. So, how you doing, Lana? You
Great.
are think you're our first returning guest, I do believe.
Yes.
And we are happy to have you back. We had a great conversation the last time, and our other co-host Jody, hopefully, will be joining us here soon. And yeah, so how's things been going with everybody over the holidays? I guess.
So
Mine
far,
was fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
so far so good.
So,
Didn't do too much.
so what have you been working on, Lana? I know we kind of you guys were discussing a little bit beforehand, but
Okay, so the last time I was on your show, I was telling you about the short that my first short was Midnight Cinema Hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah,
Midnight Cinema Hour right now is out at the film festivals. Um, and we wrap back in October. My second short, And Never Play Alone, is in post production currently at the moment. And
Hmm.
as soon as it's out, then I'll probably send that one off later in the year to film festivals. Yeah,
Nice.
excellent.
yeah.
Which film festival is it showing at?
I mean, it's a few of them. They're
Okay,
mostly like horror genre related ones.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any word like feedback yet?
I mean, we were selected as like a finalist at one of the film festivals. Just being selected is kind
Hmm.
of fun
Oh
because
yeah.
your work is being shown and people are viewing it. You know.
And appreciating it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the shorts were kind of my introduction into turning the wheels before I jump into a feature film. But when I do my feature film, that one's going to be submitted to more. I guess you would say the well-known film festivals. I'm going to try to submit it to like South by Southwest and Sundance and stuff like that.
Hmm.
What's the minimum runtime to be considered a feature length,
Oh gosh, like you at a film festival?
just in general?
Well, I
Um,
mean, me, when I do my feature, I'm going to try to keep it about like an hour and a half, like an hour and a
Okay,
half. Yeah,
I was about to say hour and
yeah.
a half sounds about
yeah,
standard.
yeah.
I kind of knew that answer. I just wanted to ask. That was a good question. It was a new because I don't know because shorts are it depends. I mean, you don't really see hour long shorts though.
Mm-mm, no, no.
Yeah. But I
There's a
but movies used to not be feature length. They like way back in the silent era, like a feature length. I don't even know.
I think
Maybe
movies were shorts before they were feature lengths, basically.
yeah, they were. I think one of the Chaplin movies, one of his movies, is considered the first feature length motion
Is where he
picture.
gives that big old speech.
Maybe it's not one of his bigger movies, but it's not one of his. It's not like The Kid or something like that, but it's
Oh,
one of
okay.
his other silents.
I like Charlie
But
Chaplin.
sorry, I don't have the rest of the information. I was heard it on a documentary I watched the other day, and I can't remember what the name of that movie was. But
Hmm.
yeah,
And that's
Interesting.
interesting that you would say that because we were just talking, I want to say a couple months ago. Are we going back to where an audience wants to be entertained at a shorter amount of time with the younger generation?
Seems like everybody's attention spans are getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, we were saying that we were
Daniel.
thinking there's a possibility that short films could be the next big thing because you can knock so
Probably.
many out in such a short amount of time.
Oh yeah, basic kind of like TV shows in general. Similar to like say Netflix, if they were to just not have like say ads running through the thing, it could be 20 to 30 minutes, maybe a little less, depending on how long that episode was supposed to be.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
what's it's going to be interesting to see what happens within the film industry in the next several years, just because just like I kind of came up in audio engineering and recording music and things like that, and in the late '90s and stuff, you were having that transition from well, they started transitioning in the '80s to digital recordings, but the real power came into the the musicians' hands in the late 90s, early 2000s with the computer based recording software and things like that.
Instead of
And
using real tape, yeah.
and so people now are producing like really great things at home, and everything's kind of geared
Oh
to
yeah.
more home studios. You can get a great sound at home, not having to build a $500,000 studio.
Oh
But
Right.
yeah. I've noticed that
so
myself.
and what I'm getting at is things are going that way with film, which people are now making full length movies with camera phones, and
Oh yeah.
they keep gearing phones. The cameras keep getting better in on your cell phone, so it's just and all the editing software is cheap. You can buy it. You can buy professional editing software and do all the, and you can do I mean, you can if people if you have the talent, you can do the CGI yourself as well. Now it gets more complicated because that's when it gets into having to have big computers and things like that to do the
Right.
processing. But you can do it if you have a team of people that has the experience and know how to do the animation, do all that. So it's pretty interesting. I've been learning After Effects here lately, so doing my own animations and doing my own intros for my videos. So I've been kind of hopped up on learning that process. Is it when you learn how to use programs like that, and then you see what somebody with like real graphic arts talent could really bring to bring to the small screen, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, of course.
Yeah.
Just kind of astonished by how people can take stuff that usually would cost thousands of dollars to like something that's maybe $50 for visual arts, and then take whatever you recorded and then just kind of edit it, in a shorter amount of time than
Right.
it would take for like say a big Hollywood production.
Right. Right.
And it's, like with short films that you're doing, like if you were to find a really good visual effects artist, to where you could probably put some like digital fire or powers or whatever your story's about basically, and kind of build around that visually, in a sense to where like you don't have to necessarily have a real burning ring of fire, but you can have a digital and it still looks real.
Right. But then again, I think about when I sit in a movie theater
Hmm.
and I see a film like Dune, and then you see some of the lower budget films. I'm not bashing anybody like on Prime.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're still going to have those worlds where people prefer the higher end film versus
True.
some of the interesting films on Prime. But that's why I love Prime as well, because it's like going through a video store and just finding all these different movies that you would never find before. So
Oh yeah. You got a point there, because I mean I miss
Yeah.
Blockbuster. I miss places like Hollywood Video, even little tiny mom and pop stores. Because when I was a kid, the video store we had was literally a family owned business, and you were able to rent their VCR and rent the
wow,
movies and stuff like that, and then just watch your movies, take it back, and yeah,
yeah,
I miss those types of days, honestly.
We're doing pretty good, Daniel. How you doing? I
Oh
know
yeah, we got
Daniel.
some.
No, Daniel's one of my subscribers. I don't know about you. You guys.
Could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, we're doing pretty good tonight.
if
But
you guys got any questions, drop them down.
definitely, I need
What were you gonna say,
to.
John?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Anyway, but
I lost my train.
I know that I had mentioned earlier that I was think that I could probably hook you up with the Nelms brothers, because I am actually Facebook friends with the brothers themselves. It was funny how we connected, because last year, no, not last year, the year before, that's right before COVID hit, I had done a review on their movie Fat Man with Mel Gibson and stuff, and they saw my review, or at least the main brother did, Ian. He saw it,
hmm
and he gave me, hey, enjoyed it very much. Thank you for the review, this and that and whatnot. And he found out through my profile, because I forgot that I had put my location where I live, which is a town called Tulare. And he goes, "You're from Tulare?" And when he said that, at first it threw me off because I forgot that I had put it on my profile. So, and I'm like, I do, you know. And he said, I'm from Visalia, which is the next town over. And apparently we had mutual friends in common. And we connected through Facebook after. So him and I
How
have
cool is
been,
that? Yeah.
yeah, been in contact since. And they're getting ready to do another film soon, actually, is what he told me. He hasn't told me any details because, of course, probably won't say anything until it's actually going.
Right.
Um, I was thinking, like, because if you watch the movie Fat Man and you actually like it and you like the writing style, maybe you guys could do something together.
Yeah, that would be great. I'll have to check out that film. I don't think I've ever seen Fat Man.
Yeah,
When-
Fat Man, it's funny. It's funny. It's different because Mel Gibson just plays a mountain man Santa Claus, basically.
Oh wow. What year did it come out?
At 2019.
Okay.
He came out on physical media 2020, though.
Okay. I'll have to give it a view.
Yeah, it was kind of like what your film is, where it's an independent type of film,
Mhm.
but a little bit more of a higher budget, of course.
Right.
And like 3 big name actors. You got Mel Gibson. One of the guys, I can't remember his name, but he's from the show The Shield.
Mhm.
And Mel Gibson's so-called Mrs. Claus. I forget what her name is, but she's a famous actress too. And yeah, it's a good movie. I recommend it.
Okay.
Definitely recommend it. And how many projects are you even working on right now? Are you just gonna focus on one at a time, or?
Yeah, I like to do one at a time. So and Never Play Alone, like I said, is in post production. So in April, that's when we're really going to start hammering down and working on the script for the feature film that we're going to shoot fall of 2023.
Okay.
So it's not something I'm just going to rush into. Like I really want it to be like right, if that makes sense. Like I want it to be done right, and
Yeah.
I want it to look good.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Basically, to where it balances out perfectly, to where you don't have to really fix too much when making it, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, hell, bands do that.
Yeah. Well, with the things that I do, being as indie as I am, I do everything. I do the location scouting. I do it all. So,
And you mean
know,
you stay local mainly for your locations?
yeah, for now I do. For now.
Oh, okay.
For now.
Oh, what does that say, John?
It's what's your favorite 4K Blu-rays? Can you name some? I don't know if she's a big. I'm sure she's probably got some, but it kind of derails the conversation there.
Well, I just got
Go
in
ahead.
buying Vanilla Skies on Blu-ray.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the people we mainly associate with are physical media collectors, and we try to incorporate other people, not just like collectors. So I think that's why he was asking that type of question, is like, what's your favorite 4K movies?
Yeah. Well, I also bought Spookies on Blu-ray. So.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
I know you can find more digital 4Ks than you can find physical 4Ks.
Yeah, you can find. I mean, a lot of them at Best Buy.
Oh yeah, I grabbed a bunch of my movies
Yeah.
from Best Buy.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna pick up the movie Juice with Tupac
Oh, I
on
remember
a
that.
Tuesday. Yeah, that's a really good movie, and I'm actually kind of anxious to see that because I have the Boys in the Hood 4K, and then I have the Criterion 4K release of Menace to Society.
Wow, I remember Menace to Society. Those are some old school gangster movies.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But it's funny because I actually enjoy those movies. I really
Yeah.
do.
It was a different time, a different generation then. It's like-
Exactly.
I think
Like,
we were like teenagers around then. I was probably like in high school, freshman around that time when those films came out.
I was like middle school, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my favorite was Poetic Justice.
Oh yes. With
I
Janet
love that
Jackson.
movie. Yes.
Do you remember Sugar Hill?
Yes.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, Sugar Hill?
Uh-huh.
I'd have to look
It's been
that
a
up.
long
I mean,
time
it,
since I've seen
sounds
that,
sounds
Yeah.
familiar. I think I do.
It was during that time frame, Yeah.
Okay, that does sound familiar. I'd have to look that up. I think, if I'm thinking correctly, it has the actor Omar Epps, because he was in the movie Juice with Tupac. If
And
it's the
then,
same guy I'm
Yeah.
thinking of.
and then I think there was another movie called what was it? Something lyrics. I can't remember. I can't remember the name.
There was
Anyways,
a bunch back then too.
yeah.
What does that say?
So watching Prometheus for the 100th time, the story and lore is epic. It's all right.
See, I like
Prometheus.
it.
I mean, I liked it, but it wasn't like say the best.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call it epic.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it. It was so. I haven't watched it in a long time, so
Same
to
here.
say anything, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in forever either, and I would have not known that it was actually related to the Aliens, franchise
Now
if
you're
they had
cool.
not mentioned it.
You're cool, Daniel. We'll probably get into talking physical media here a little bit later, but
He really wants
so,
to know some stuff.
Well,
yeah.
hey, and I also bought the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on 4K
Oh, there you go.
at Best Buy, by the way.
That
Oh,
might be
really?
Yeah.
that wouldn't
I
be a
didn't.
bad one to have.
I
On
didn't
4K.
think Texas Chainsaw Massacre was on 4K. I know it's on Blu-ray.
Well,
The only what was that?
I'm pretty sure it was 4K.
Because the only 4K I know of
See.
is a German release, and Best Buy didn't carry it.
No, I don't remember seeing a German release Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hold on, let me double check.
But are we talking old school Texas or the remake with Jessica Biel?
The original one.
Yeah, I think that was a German release because at least my Best Buy don't carry it. That's for sure. And I never see it online.
Yeah, it was the 40th anniversary.
Did you buy it as like a steel book?
No, I bought it. Well, it wasn't a steelbook. I mean, it was a. It's on the shelf in the living room. I'll have to go.
No worries, no worries. I'm not gonna make you do that. Yeah, because the only Texas Chainsaw Massacre I have two at the moment. I have the Jessica Biel one, and then the one that was right afterwards called The Beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are the only ones I have. I need to get the original. Actually, I need to get the originals.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I've heard that the first Toxic Avenger movie is coming out to 4K.
The one that they're remaking, or the the original
The Texas Chainsaw or Toxic Avenger?
Toxic Avenger, because I think that they were making that.
I heard that was being a remake as well.
They're going to remake
I don't know when
that.
that's supposed to come out, but I had heard rumors about it.
Yeah.
They're not who's remaking that?
That's a
I
good
can't remember who it was. I
It's-
think it was
it's-
Blumhouse.
Is it Blumhouse?
You know, Not Trauma, because Trauma's still around. I can't believe they'd sell the rights to that and even remake it.
So, a quick question out of
Yeah.
Trauma and Full Moon, which one do you like? Which one do you prefer?
I like Trauma myself, but I like their newest stuff isn't that great. Some of the newer things they had, but their old stuff's really good. Full Moon, I don't have enough knowledge of them to really make a comparison. So
I'll be honest, I couldn't even make a comparison for you because I'm not really. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that.
Well, I prefer Full Moon.
Okay. I'm just one of those people. Sometimes I don't always pay attention to who produced, because sometimes I have to find out who did what for certain movies.
Right.
So when I do a movie review or just like a little short video about, because I do TikTok as well, so sometimes I have to let the people know that it's from 1986 and Studio Warner Brothers, or stuff like that. So I sometimes have to look it up.
Right. I'm only asking because someone asked me that question, so I just wanted to throw it out
Okay.
there.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, James Gunn actually directed at least one or two movies for Trauma. A lot of people
Did he?
don't know that. Yeah, think he
Huh.
did. Think he did. He did Romeo and Juliet, or he didn't do that one. I'm trying to think the name of it, but he did at least one for them that I can. I have it in another room. I can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head, but
Hmm.
yeah, a lot of
Well,
people don't. I think it's one of the first movies as well.
this is random, but I found out that we've been saying this guy's last name wrong all along, who plays Daniel LaRusso. People have always called him Ralph
Machio.
Macchio. It's Ralph Macchio.
Oh wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's Italian, so it's a Macchio.
yeah,
I was like, wow. Yeah, because everybody Americanized it, is what they called it in Macchio.
Well, it's never corrected in my entire lifetime. Does he correct it or?
Well, he did. He did on the View with Joy Behar and them, because he was just on recently talking about like Cobra Kai and stuff like that, and she, in her being Italian as well, she was like, just to make people know that we're doing this right, it's Macchio, not Machio, right? And he goes, yes, yes. And then they talked about how how they just Americanized his last name, and I'm like, I mean, that makes sense. People get lazy on the whole. What's that double L sound for, Lala? Because it took me a while to understand that, like with the Latin words, with the double L was like a y sound, like a U. I was like, that's weird,
Maybe.
but okay.
Well, you live down south here, so you hear all kinds of crazy stuff coming out of my mouth too, probably.
I mean, hell, I live in California. A lot of stupid fucks here that live, you know. Oh, no joke.
Mhm.
I mean, like, I swear, every job that I've had, I end up learning a new respect for it, because it made me realize sometimes that I was that asshole in that restaurant or retail place, where I wouldn't put shit back, or no, that's not what I want. I want this instead, kind of thing, when they already is starting to make it.
right.
And so every job that I've had has just let me have a new appreciation, because currently working at Big Lots, people just don't put things away. And then when they think they're done shopping, they come up, they're starting to put things on the table. Can I know the price of this? Okay, scan it. It says it's $3.99, and they're like, I'm gonna wait. You could have asked that before coming up.
But it's funny because people, they're not aware of their behaviors.
Hmm.
A lot of people really aren't aware of how they're coming across or their actions. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Well, some of them apologize, some of them don't.
yeah. I'm pretty sure most of them don't.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
portion, more than a handful.
Yeah, a lot of people just walk around in the daze. That's why we got the crazy shit going on in this country that we do all the time because people. Yeah. Do you guys have any problems where you live at in California with people stealing?
Well, yeah, especially where I work.
Yeah. They
Uh,
that
pe-
is the laws in that town you are. Do they the same deal, or if they steal, you can steal up to like $995 or
it's
whatever.
like, yeah, if it's like say $100, they don't care. If it's
Mm.
$50, they don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's still money you're losing, But we have
That,
insurance, and I'm like, but insurance isn't meant for you to take advantage of them either.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, use it when you
Well,
need it, yeah, but don't let it be a constant thing. I mean, where my girlfriend works, she works at a liquor store, and if people steal, they got them on camera. They put them up on the board right in front of the door. You open the door, you see the like wanted, people that don't need to come back, kind of thing.
Right.
And I'm like, why can't
uh,
we do that? Or at least if we know who's stealing, we tell them don't come back.
Yeah.
I've
Can't
seen a
even do that.
story. I've seen a story where a guy, I think it was in San Francisco, a guy, he owned some kind of store. I don't know what kind of store he owned, but he basically marked everything up to like 900. Well, like 900 I don't know if it's $900 or what, but he marked everything up like $5 He
Hmm.
marked everything up $5 more than the steel rate, and then he just had coupons at the counter. So when you went up there, everything dropped everything back to normal price. So if you try to go in there and steal something, anything, it was breaking the law.
Mm. I know Colorado is a state where they banned drunk in public laws. They don't even have that in effect anymore over there. Because if the person's drunk and they know they're drunk and they used an Uber or something like that, they can't be harassed for being drunk in public anymore, especially if they know that they're waiting for an Uber to get home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because there was a body camera, video that I had seen cops harassing the guy. And the guy even told him, he said, I know that I've been drinking. I'm sitting here because I am waiting for an Uber and you guys don't want to believe me.
Are you
And then he
having
had to
Are you
go
having
ahead.
issues where you're at, John? Are you
Oh,
having
with
issues?
stealing? No, not in Kentucky.
Yeah.
You try to steal like that, you're probably going to get shot.
Yeah.
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 Texas the same way.
I'm sure Florida's the same way.
Well,
No, not really. I mean, altogether, Kentucky's usually a Democrat. Democrat,
Oh,
at
really?
least, yeah. It's
Hmm.
always went fairly Democrat. You know, it kind of gets mixed up because you got it's just like the country. You know, Kentucky's the biggest part of its population are in its cities like Louisville, Lexington, and northern Kentucky, which is the Cincinnati area.
Hmm.
So the biggest part of your population, that's where they're voting, and that's how the populations vote. But the rest of it's rural, so that's where your conservative vote comes from. So
Yeah. I just never
yeah.
understood the, reason for like having parties, you know what I mean? Republic Party and Democratic Party and Green Party. It's like why? It's like just by doing that alone, you're dividing yourself from each other, first of all, when we're supposed to be a
Mm,
united country to begin
yeah.
with. And
Well, they've made it more divisive over the years, so
it's always been
it's not so much
divisive.
divisive. But the real way it should be done is you should have multiple parties, a lot of parties. But instead of having two parties, but it's never been like that. It's never hardly
I just
been
never saw a
a
reason for it.
powerful third party. You know,
How about the civil party? Be
yeah,
civil to each other.
yeah.
yeah.
That's what I would like to do is just like one party and one party only, and that's the civil party. Be responsible, be respectful, do your shit, get it done, and don't bitch. I mean, if you're gonna bitch, at least bitch to someone to where you don't feel like you have to do anything stupid. How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for like people who do these shootings and stuff, and I know shootings are wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna. I don't condone that at all. But what I'm getting at is that I feel bad for the people who are committing it because a lot of people always think like, why are they doing it? They're just little pricks, and it's like no, it's because of you calling them little pricks to begin with that make them think they're little pricks, so they go out and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because you make them feel that they don't matter. You make them feel that they don't count. And when they feel like that, the way you treat them is how they're going to retaliate in some way. But of course, it's always a choice. Regardless, it's always a choice. They could choose not to, but sometimes they
Mm.
feel like that they don't have them.
And they're loaded up on legal mind altering drugs too.
Yeah.
Well, some of them, yes, but not all of them.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about marijuana either. So,
No, marijuana is
but
that's a calming drug.
I'm like Bill Hicks, a comedian from the '90s. He's no longer living, but Bill Hicks said that marijuana should be mandatory.
I know. Let the politicians just have a few hits and see how they feel.
If somebody's being annoying around you and bitching, just here,
It's like,
smoke
dude,
this.
I know. Just have a little, just take a hit, or here, have this brownie or cookie. You'll feel better in like 20 minutes.
Uh, what part of Texas do you live in? And I'm talking about specific. You're right. No, I'm joking. No, just what area do you live in?
I live in North Texas, the
Okay.
DFW area.
She said that
Okay.
last time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dallas Fort Worth.
I'm sure I asked the same questions. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I asked her that actually on
No,
the last one, but
I was really just trying to dox you. No, I'm just joking. Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, because with politics aside and stuff like that, because I know we're not here necessarily to talk politics, but even though movies in a way can play a part in politics too, because movies themselves have like messages in them, like the Star Wars movies have messages them in them for like political stuff. Hell, Lord of the Rings does too.
Mm.
Not so much though. Not not like current.
Well, no, I'm not saying like
No.
current. I mean like stuff that was like say inspired by war, politics, stuff like that. Controversy in general.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can see some of the stuff in the original writing, but even Tolkien said it really wasn't that he didn't when he wrote that stuff. It necessarily, he just said that stuff, but it definitely there was a lot of because he was in World War One. He was like in
Hmm.
the trenches, so you can see the definite correlations between his work and like the upcoming mechanization of warfare, and you can see that play out in the Lord of the Rings because that's kind of what's going on with Saruman and things like that. Who they're
Yeah.
basically he's creating futuristic weapons of war to wage against the forces of good, basically.
History itself fascinates me the way you just said that right now because looking back at, the evolution of humanity, you wonder like how the hell did we have that type of thinking process back then?
Like what kind of thinking process?
Well, like
Oh, to
the way
become
the pyramids were
industrialized
built,
or
like the just way like architectural type of stuff, just the way that they were able to do it back then. Like, what was their tools? What did they use? Like we have
well
an
with
idea, but is it
well
really
well,
how they did it?
well I don't. You open a can of worms with me talking about stuff like that, so I won't go too deep into it with especially with the pyramids. But we really don't know with the pyramids. Like what they say, they think they know how the pyramids were built. Probably isn't the case because the tools they had during the era they claim were not good enough to cut through the rock that they had. So,
Hmm.
but a lot of people believe, and I do believe that there were there were civilizations that existed way before those, anyways, even upwards of 12,000 years ago that
Hmm.
we're beginning to kind of understand.
Oh.
So, and I think there's lost technology. What I'm saying, I'm not saying this is alien intervention. I think
Hmm.
it's there's lost civilizations with lost technologies that we don't understand.
I mean, that's what I
Yeah,
mean by it fascinates me by our evolution
but
of
as far
man
as but
or humans.
as far as I guess the what you were talking about, how we think like that, how I don't really know how because we spent so many years in the. I think that's kind of what I'm getting at with they kind of the technology they I think maybe the technologies they used were more earth based technologies and actually I don't they were
Feel like your mind exploded.
yeah they were more related to they understood the earth better and how like magnetics works and think they had a better understanding of how the earth worked and they worked with the earth and worked with it was
There's
more
so many
natural
different possibilities out
it was
there.
more natural tech it was more of a natural technology and the further along
We
we've
still
gotten
have a
kind of
lot to
away
learn
from
in
that.
general as a
Yeah,
human race in general. So,
yeah,
Well, especially with this this technology, I've said that
Oh yeah,
it's almost like a growing pain. So when we were coming up, we didn't have access to social media. We didn't have access to the
exactly.
internet. So we are that generation of the growing pain, almost like the guinea pig with the internet and with technology that our great grandchildren will be reading about of how not to behave, what not to
Exactly.
do with technology. So we're that experiment, where, I mean, like if you think about it, children that they're brought up in a generation with access with technology will never know what it's like that when your friend moves away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If they didn't call you,
Nope.
Yeah.
if they didn't call you collect or write you a letter, you never saw them again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
The world was
Yeah,
hey,
like
so
trying to make a
hey,
friend
silent.
at camp and then try to keep in touch through letter or something.
Yeah.
hey, they didn't call you 1-800 collect. I
Yeah.
don't know if you, I don't know if you remember that or not from the late '90s.
Or like you'd call to check the time or the weather,
Popcorn.
or yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you called for popcorn and it would tell you the time of where you lived.
yeah.
Oh,
Or
or just
like
call for movie times.
yeah, or it would even tell you what happened on the soap operas or Days of Our Lives, real quick, real briefly. Do y'all remember that?
Oh
I don't
yeah.
remember that. No,
Oh yeah, I
no.
was like, whoa.
I surprisingly do. Yes, I'm full of surprises sometimes, like when you because people can look a certain way, and then when you find out their like interests and things, stuff that they like, don't like, you're like, wow, I wouldn't have taken you for that type of person. Like me, I like cultural type of music. I really
Mhm.
do. Um, I'm very into the Irish music.
Uh-huh.
Uh, let's see, I like the African type of music. I actually like the way the music just flows with their type of style. And I mean, I like certain pop music, certain country music. I am mainly a rock and metal kind of guy, but I like a bit of everything.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like
But
I love horror movies. I know that I don't love everything horror, but
Hmm.
yeah.
yeah.
Right.
That's just me.
Yeah.
But trying to think because a recent horror movie that I picked up not long ago. I still need to watch it though. I don't know if you've watched it yet. Is Quiet Place Part Two?
Yes, I
You have
watched
seen
it.
it already.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's I consider that more of a sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you? Kind
Yeah.
of? Yeah.
I mean, hell, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's sci-fi horror
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Oh, was that what you were just
So,
grabbing?
no, I picked up a couple of these. Well, they're action figures. The mecha, or excuse me, they're what are they called? Me, Mego. Excuse me, Mego. But I
Oh,
thought
Oh
while
my
we were
gosh, I
watching,
love it.
it's from the Hammer.
kind of hard to tell who it
I'm
is
not
from
a
angle.
oh,
Oh, okay.
r-
I like it.
Nice. Do you get
so
those oh, what are they called? Where it's got like a Victor Crowley Nosferatu, Beetlejuice, those types of ones. Oh, nice. The Mummy.
The Mummy. The older, I like, yeah, the older horror. I like, yeah,
The Universal Classic
yeah,
monsters, right? Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
I
the first
actually have the Dracula set.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I have that. It's got basically the all of the Dracula movies, like Son of Dracula, Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. I guess Dracula is in it.
I love it.
Oh, there's his wife,
Yeah,
Frankenstein's wife.
The Bride of Frankenstein.
And you know what's funny is that they call it the Bride of Frankenstein, but yet Frankenstein was actually
yeah,
the creator, not the monster. So
Right.
people, you know, people do get it mixed up. And Mary Shelley's Frankenstein,
no.
The one I think that has Robert De Niro in it is coming out to the 4K format later this year.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Cool.
So is RoboCop.
RoboCop.
I don't know if you're a fan of RoboCop or not, but
Oh, I've seen just about all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the 3 movies set, and I also had that remake that they did too.
Yeah.
Wasn't a big fan of the remake, but I don't know. I still found some like entertainment in it to want to have it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
The first RoboCop, I hate the scene where he gets his hand blown off. I hate
oh,
I hate when people I hate stuff like that. I hate when people get maimed like
graphic.
that in movies. Yeah, like it's some things it's when it's probably more comical or something. You see it happen maybe like in like a Star Wars movie where somebody gets their arm cut off because you in those movies they can get it replaced, but like in that movie it's just like it's just gross. I don't know. It's just
See, and I find that amazing. I think
uh,
because, yeah, like just being around other sets and watching some gore scenes and just seeing how it's made, it doesn't bother me. Like I forgot what that was like, if that makes sense.
yeah.
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 I mean, and if you think about it through the eyes, because you said you don't like that scene with the hand getting blown off,
I
and you
mean,
said like with Star Wars they can get it replaced, but if you think about it, RoboCop was technically a whole
yeah.
replacement.
Yeah, I was thinking that when I said it, but it was just but it's just weird. I hate amputations in there. I don't know why it's like
Yeah.
I think why it's like that is my next door neighbor when I was growing up. He was an older guy and he was missing an arm from he worked at like a paper mill and he basically had a big roll of paper that crushed his arm and he
Oh,
lost his arm.
wow.
So I think it's some there's some kind of weird connection between that. And I just hate it. And watching war movies when that happens to people, I hate seeing that happen because it's such a I don't know. It's
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
some
well,
that's one of my little phobias, I guess.
so there was something about it that was traumatizing to you.
I guess even though it's
Yeah.
not happened to me or never, you know, it happened personally to
Yeah.
me, but
It's weird how like little things like that can affect a person, like your
Oh yeah.
subconscious. Yeah.
yeah,
I didn't used to be grossed out by, blood and guts and shit like that, but now when I try to, it's like it's not as appealing anymore as when you're a kid.
Yeah. Well, because when you're a kid, it's like, ooh, we're not supposed to be watching this.
Yeah.
Whoa, and as you mature, you either outgrow it or you're softer. You're just like, I don't like that anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
there's a lot
That's
of horror movies in general that I just kind of grown out of and don't really care for anymore.
You know, one particular film that I haven't watched, and a lot of people are like, really? It's like The Green Inferno.
Hmm.
Yeah. With
what is it called? The Green Inferno.
yeah, it's
I
where
I know that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um
That was Eli Roth who did
yeah,
that one.
yeah.
Who did the
Cannibalism,
Hostel movies.
like cannibalism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. The Tribe.
yeah.
And I think what the reason why I decided not to watch it because I feel that is there a possibility that something like that could really happen in some
Oh yeah.
part of this world? Yeah. And I think the idea of it being real is why I don't like it. The horror stuff that I like is fake. Like it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
It's entertainment.
Yes, you would
Yeah.
rather think of it as entertainment than the actual possibility of it happening.
Yeah. Like I'm not into serial killers. I don't care about any of that. I'm not one of those people like I'm going to sit down and live and breathe documentaries about serial killers. I don't, that was someone's,
So then you would say you don't like the movie Silence of the Lambs then?
well, no, like documentaries about serial killers. There's some
Oh,
people
oh.
that really glamorize that stuff. Um,
Yeah.
and my point of view is like, have a serial killer stalk you and murder you, and let's see if it's very entertaining. This happened to people. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
were butchered. So I'm not
Oh
really into that kind
yeah.
of stuff. Yeah.
Cuz
The true crime stuff's big on YouTube and
oh yeah.
on podcasts and stuff. Every now and then there's one podcast I do like to listen. It's like I'm not so much into the serial killer stuff or necessarily true crime, but I do like stories about people who go missing
Hmm.
because it's such a big phenomenon in their country, and it's very probably
Mysterious in a way.
a lot of yeah, it's some of it is and some of it isn't, but some of the craziest stuff is there's a guy who made a series called
Unsolved
Missing
Mysteries.
Missing 411, and
Never heard of that one.
Richard's a guy named yeah, he's the guy. I think he always he used to come on like Coast to Coast AM and stuff,
Oh, coast to coast.
but he's Richard Pilatus, but he the guy who did it. But he has some he if you go on he's got some couple of documentaries out about it. But it's basically a lot of strange disappearances within public parks and things like that, like the big ones like Yellowstone and things like that. But he's got it all over the country, and it's just people at different ages and from children to older, elderly people just vanish. And sometimes every now and then they'll show up, you know, deceased, and sometimes that they just like they vanished off the face of the earth. No trace
Wow.
of them ever, and just in the public parks, the Park Service won't hardly answer any of the questions. They've even like when he's inquired, he used to be like a police officer, like a detective, so he started doing inquiries trying to get information, and they would shut him down trying to get information on this case, and they basically say you got to come to us with like $1 million before we'll even release this information. It's crazy, but it's bizarre. He had all kinds of crazy theories, but it's interesting stuff. He's got about 6 books, and each book covers a different region of the United States, and
Huh.
it's
That's interesting. I like watching
hundreds of things.
documentaries. I'm somewhat, I would say, into the whole crime drama kind of stuff and whatnot because I am a big fan of the show Law and Order SVU. I'm a big, big fan of that show.
I remember you saying
Um,
that.
huh?
I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just to me, it's one of the best, drama shows out there, especially for crime, shows. And it's been on for 20 plus years, I think it's on its 23rd right now.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think they might have one or two more seasons left.
Do
So I think
you
they're probably going to do
Yeah.
25.
do you remember a show called I Survived?
Yes.
Those are
Yeah.
some hardcore stories. It's
Oh
really
my
addictive.
God. Yes.
Yeah.
And they would show the video, wouldn't they, of like the stuff that would happen to them? Or is that a
Uh,
different show?
no, like I Survived, they would have someone sitting like in a room and they would interview them and they would have a reenactment of like what happened to them.
Oh, the
But just
dramatization.
but just hearing some of the details and you just get this chill over you and this emptiness like no one's around to save you. This is it. I'll never forget when they did the story on Columbine. It just
Oh.
I was not expecting that one. And they're going and talking, and then they start talking about the details of Columbine. It was just so heart wrenching. So I wonder if that show's still even on.
I'm not,
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure.
could be. Probably
Yeah,
could find it on something.
yeah.
I know on Netflix, I don't think they have it on there anymore, but it was an old, maybe late 80s, early 90s around there. It was William Shatner hosting called Rescue 911.
I remember the Rescue 911.
Oh
Yeah,
my God. I used to watch that show a lot when it would
yeah,
come on. Like every new episode, I'd be there to watch it. And because I enjoyed watching them, but at the same time, you're fascinated by like how these people either survived an attack or an electrocution or a heart attack or whatever it was in general. And they would have these dramatizations of what happened, but the dramatizations looked real as hell.
right,
Like you
Yeah.
believed that dramatization was the real thing that happened.
right.
Like holy
Yeah. They
crap, like it was cool to watch but like scary too.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Ooh.
yeah they came to my hometown and shot an episode there a long time ago. It was probably still in the 80s or early 90s one when it was still on. So it was kind of weird. I can't remember what the subject matter was now, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
All good.
Yeah, it's been
Well,
a
I
long
mean,
time.
we were mainly just talking like the whole crime genre, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, like documentaries and stuff. I mean, because I remember you had mentioned about the Brittany Murphy documentary,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I watched that, and wow, did I feel so sad for her.
It was it was an interesting watch. I think that the guy that she got involved with was just a
So
scam artist.
poisonous and toxic for
It
her.
was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I think in her situation, I think as you grow and you really get into the film industry, I think
Hmm.
it can be a lonely place when you're young. You don't know who
Oh
you are.
yeah.
You're still trying to find yourself. There's not really a whole lot of real friends, just a handful.
Hmm.
You know, I think she just wanted to be loved, and she just had all these different relationships that didn't work out.
Yeah.
And, and then this guy gave her some attention and made her feel safe, and he took full advantage of it.
Yeah. I mean, and no offense to the guy, but you know, judging by looks and all, because he's not that good of a looking guy to begin with, you know. And wondering how he puts on a charm to land Brittany Murphy just made me wonder, like, how does that work?
And I think the only thing that I can think of, not because I mean I don't know, but there was mention of drug use possibility of that.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I'm not sure if that was the case, but if there was a mental issue, maybe she felt, like I said, safe or stable with him, and then it just kind of just kind of spin out of control from there.
Well, she did have an absentee father, and that would make sense.
And what about her crazy mother?
Oh, God. I don't think her mom
Didn't
was crazy at first, though. I think her mom
No,
was actually stable at one point, and then
at
with
one
the whole
point.
Hollywood era getting in her face and stuff, it just got out of control for her.
And do you remember when they were showing the portrait of after she passed away, like her
Hmm.
ex-husband and the mother, they looked like they were a couple mourning their
Oh
child?
yeah,
That was odd.
yeah, it
Mhm.
was,
Yeah, yeah.
and he died the same way she did.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
See, it's so baffling.
At first,
Like uh,
I was thinking, you know, okay, for example, do you remember when the people were like um, visiting, what was it, the Dominican Republic, and they were drinking alcohol and they were just dying, and they couldn't find out why these people were just dying, that like at these resorts? Do you remember hearing?
uh-huh.
It was a couple years ago, and there was
I,
no trace of like poison or anything like that.
and they
So
were just dropping like flies.
yeah, like
Wow,
they would come down like sick and then just like die. Okay.
wow.
Yeah, and so at first when I started hearing that documentary, I was like, okay, was there mold in the house? That's what was the first thing that came to my mind. And they were like, yes, there was mold in the house, but I think that there was a little bit more. Was it like the drug use? Was it the mold? Was it?
Hey, he
What's
showed
going
up.
on? Woo! Y'all would not believe the shit show.
Well, Lana, this is Jody. Jody, this is
Hello.
Hi.
Look, I almost missed you a second time. Listen, this did not go as planned at all. I
Lana.
apologize. What have we been talking about?
A lot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm way behind.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Well, we were just now talking about the Brittany Murphy documentary that was out and other stuff along with it about like crime dramas and stuff like that. So that's what we were at
nice.
right now.
Nice.
That's if I like crime stuff. At least the last couple of years, I generally like learning about like the kind of crazy Hollywood crime, the deaths and things that take place in Hollywood. I was actually just watching a video. I know about it. It's I've already knew about it a little bit, but George Reeves. Yeah, I don't know if you know that movie. The movie Hollywoodland was about it, but George Reeves played the original Superman back in the 50s.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
Pictures of Superman. Yeah, about his death. It was supposedly a suicide, but it's crazy. The whole story's crazy.
I knew
He
about
had,
a documentary of it, but I never got to see it.
yeah, he was having like he had like a long time affair with this woman, and I'm sorry I can't remember her name, but she was her husband was the head of like MGM Studios or something at the time. But he knew the affair was going on, and he allowed the affair to happen. And like as long as it's basically in a situation. As long as my wife's happy, then I'm happy, kind of deal. So
Right.
and like, but George Reeves was going to get married to this other woman, and I think it at least the way it plays out in the movie, she's upset over it, and they basically think that he had George Reeves killed, and it wasn't a suicide because everything it's weird. All the things around are weird. So I like stories like that, like Helter Skelter and all that stuff.
Oh gosh, Helter Skelter, yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like? Tate, last name Tate.
Sharon Tate?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say I'm forgetting the name already, and yeah, because the guy who lives at the house where Sharon Tate lived originally had the guys from the show Ghost Adventures come and investigate his place.
Was that? Are we talking about the house that Sharon Tate lived in, or?
Yeah, that she lived in. There's a guy that currently lives there, who had let the guys from the show Ghost Adventures come in to actually investigate the house to see if her spirit was there.
Is it the one
that's that house? Well, the house doesn't exist anymore.
Right?
Yeah, they tore it down. There's a big gigantic. This big TV producer built a big gigantic mansion in the place where it was.
I think it's the TV producer who did Full House who owns it, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. Yeah.
Huh. I'd have to look that up again then, because I could have sworn it was still intact, and especially where he was living, like the magnetic line where he was living was just off. Chaos.
And Trent Reznor actually recorded one of his albums in the original house before it was knocked down.
Really?
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
I mean, Hollywood in general is just one big supernatural fucking place.
Yeah.
I would love to hop on one of those supernatural teams that goes into places. I think that would be like the best thing to do for like a whole summer. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
But what if you bring something back with you, like to your house?
Listen, I haven't thought that far through yet, but I think it'd be okay.
Yeah, no, I think we'd be okay if we go to the places where it's known to be haunted and they're actually tourists who come, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's not like, say, super, dumb to go to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a guy out in, right now, I don't think he's doing the tours anymore because of COVID, but there's a guy out there who does a tour called I can't remember what he calls it, but that's what he does. He tours he takes you around to all the places where murders has happened and famous murders has happened. And he does just like a Helter Skelter tour and stuff like that.
Oh, wow!
But I that's the one reason I want to go out there. Hopefully, we get through this shit and everything goes back to normal. So, because I do want to go to LA and go on that tour.
Well, it is said that the actor River Phoenix, who was in Stand By Me, he overdosed outside the Viper Room. So,
yeah.
That's a place to go to.
Yeah, you do. Well, yeah, but
he's supposedly haunted still.
Yeah, but I watch a lot of these people who do like Los Angeles tours, or they do a lot of vlogging around Los Angeles, and supposedly they're gonna. What is it?
Just
supposedly.
Wait, she's like losing it down there.
Just thinking about the viewers hearing that he still haunts it. Sorry.
He like trips people out front as they walk by.
Yeah.
Like, damn it, Phoenix.
Yeah, but
we're gonna get so many thumbs down.
Yeah, probably.
Well, no, when everybody's gone, and if you have the amp on, you can supposedly hear the guitar go. Ring.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
There was some TV show playing that was talking about the Viper Room. I got caught on TV a couple days ago. That's a pretty interesting place.
Yeah, have you ever heard the 911 call that Joaquin? Because Joaquin's the one who made the 911 call.
I did not.
That phone call opened up the episode I was talking about.
Yeah, he's the one that made the 911 call, and it says him being frantic about him. But it's a pretty crazy story. Wow. But what I was getting at, I heard that they're going to like tear down that whole strip where the Viper Club is. That whole
really.
and
Yeah.
build some new piece of shit. Which
It's, it's gonna,
yeah,
yeah, I think that's where the episode. I wish I could remember what the show was called. It was on like I was watching Sling TV, so God knows what channel I was actually watching. But yeah, it
yeah.
ended with them that they're going to revamp that whole street. So it's just going
It's
to be
funny
gone
that you
soon.
mentioned that because a lot of places that were, like, say, once a club or a hospital or whatever it may be, are actually getting either torn down and turned into something, or just what's the word I'm looking for? It's where they still keep the building, but they do the stuff on the inside rather than tearing down the building.
Yeah,
What's that word I'm
Yeah.
looking
they
for?
just gut it. They
Renovate?
just
Renovate?
Thank you, renovate. Yes.
Renovate.
Yeah, because there was a place called Linda Vista Hospital. Ghost Adventures crew had investigated there, and the band Avenged Sevenfold did their music video Nightmare there. And they now turned it into an apartment complex.
yeah.
Oh.
That's happening a lot over here in Nashville, left and right. That we've already lost several classic studios where awesome albums were recorded. They fought for quite a few of them to stay up, but yeah, it's just they just want to build condos.
Yeah.
It's
It's sad.
ridiculous.
Hollywood's getting a makeover.
I want to know where all the people how they can afford to buy these condos when they make these. Like, I don't know.
A lot of them people are buying and doing Airbnbs out of them,
Yeah.
Mm.
That's
sitting
true.
at home making money.
Yeah.
I need to start
Yeah.
doing that. I need to find me some money. Oh shit! But
What was that?
Okay.
just sell the collection to come up with some money.
Yeah.
Oh. I know you're already trying to like sell certain stuff to do your group
Yeah, those
buys.
Yeah, those Airbnbs are big. A friend of ours, her and her husband, they have like this little. They basically converted a garage next to their house into an Airbnb, and it's like they stay booked all the time. It's just out
Oh,
in the
yeah.
middle of nowhere here in Kentucky. Like,
You can do it. I would
Yeah.
love
Oh,
to do
yeah.
it.
I mean,
it's trendy. That's why.
I don't know if I'd do it. Honestly, I don't know if I would.
I mean, like, what if someone nasty is staying at your place and
Exactly.
they leave scabies?
Yeah.
That stuff is contagious.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have the plague, the black plague.
it is. Put that in
Well,
fine
that's
print.
that's already in the L.A. River, isn't it? Supposedly,
What?
Is that where it is
the
now?
Black Plague. Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought-
They supposedly found traces of it in the L.A. River.
Or in the they were saying that what was it that was going around because of such the homeless population was so high that what
Yeah.
was it? They said that they hadn't seen it since
It's
medieval
the plague.
times.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the Black Plague. Yeah,
Oh,
it
I
was.
know that,
That-
here in
that's
California,
serious.
the homeless situation is pretty bad for sure. A lot of people having tents and taking up the streets and sidewalks, and it's becoming a real problem here in California.
So when do you think that California started changing? Was it like in the late 2000s?
I would say that it got worse, mid 2000s on.
Okay.
That's when I think, because I know when I was a kid growing up, it didn't seem like it was a big issue or anything
Yeah.
like that. It was relatively, decent here in California. Weather was actually nice. Summers were summers, winters were winters, and fall was fall,
Yes.
spring was spring. And it doesn't seem like that anymore here. It fluctuates. Like it rained, but it didn't rain much. So that's something that California's kind of eager to need is rain.
Is fresh water, a problem out that way?
Kinda. I mean, even though we're right next to the Pacific Ocean, it's still an issue.
Yeah, but you can't get fresh water. It's hard to get fresh water from the ocean.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in general, water's water.
They have things called desalination plants that basically means desalt plant, but they do have those. But most of your guys' water comes from the Colorado River, from basically the Hoover Dam, and then it's kind of routed down through the aqueduct system. That's where especially the Los Angeles area. I don't know about your particular area, but a lot of
Well,
it
I'm
comes
in the
from that.
valley, which is like basically in between the mountains and Southern California, because we're central. So
Yeah.
it's flat land. Like if they were to let go of the Hoover Dam, we would probably flood for where I live, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just guessing because I don't know the trajectory of the dam or anything like that because it's not something I go and study.
Yeah. But a lot of
I,
at least the Los Angeles area and the kind of that part of Southern California, a big part of their water came from from the rerouting of because they built basically a big aqueduct system all the way from basically the Colorado River all the way down to Los Angeles.
mm,
I think
yeah.
that's kind of what what's the name of that movie? There's a movie. It might be crap. I can't think of the name of it. There's been a couple of movies that were made had something to do about it, but I'm trying to think of the Roman Polanski movie. I think it has something to do with that. Chinatown. Excuse me. I should one of the great movies, one of the best movies ever
Jack
made. Was
Nicholson, Chinatown?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's kind of part of the story, part of the plot in there.
huh. It's been forever
About
since
that
I've
one.
seen that movie, so I couldn't even tell you. I've only
Yeah.
seen it like once.
Yeah, even though you have your opinion about Polanski, it's still he was a great filmmaker regardless. I
Oh, I'm
know I
sure.
know that's not an excuse. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh well, he did great stuff, so excuses him from screwing kids. No, I mean, but
I don't know enough about Roman Polanski to really talk about him. So
Well, he had such a dark childhood, anyways. Like,
you know,
with Nazi Germany, and he was in a movie theaters a whole lot. He was spared, but still, it was like
yeah,
if when you look at it, it was like his life was almost like this tragic story.
yeah,
It's and he should have never went back to LA after Sharon Tate was killed. He should have never went back, and I think that he just fell into that whole dark hole of just not making good decisions and probably using drugs and made a really bad choice.
yeah.
He's probably still traumatized over his wife being murdered with their unborn child, but that's still no
Oh, yeah.
excuse. But
yeah,
still, it's just it's almost like he was cursed. It's weird.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. And some people I would definitely say just have more bad luck than others.
Oh gosh.
And it's sad, of course. It's always going to be sad. And of course, I'm thankful for, things that have happened to me and have not happened to me.
Right? Of course.
So to
yeah.
even think about knowing that stuff like that exists out there in the real world, it's a scary thought. I mean, like, example, and it's funny that I'm even going to mention this on air, but couple of years back, I had gone to a new massage parlor that just opened up around the corner, not thinking anything about it, like just thinking it's a new massage place.
Yes.
Where's this
And
going?
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So she
Super
asked
nervous
my
right now.
first time, and I had mentioned, well, I went to a place that was across the street originally, and they're an actual professional massage place.
Right.
Mhm.
And thinking she's understanding me in general because she was an Asian girl,
Right.
and she goes ahead, tells me, okay, turn over so she can do my legs, my stomach,
Okay.
my pecs, stuff like that. And then all of a
If-
sudden
if she
she
does you
asked
long
me
time.
if I wanted to do it.
So she wanted to love you long time. Oh,
She
Yeah.
did, and I straight up said, I got a girlfriend.
Charlie Rage unplugged.
no, it was a
No, and the thing was is that I always thought that would never happen to me because you always see it and hear about it, but never think it
Well-
would happen.
What did you tell her? Did you say, I gotta go?
Yeah, I did.
It's like, no, yeah.
I was so uncomfortable.
Well,
And don't get me wrong, I'm a guy in general, and usually
Right.
guys would go, okay, and she's telling me how much, which was even funnier.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say you should be like, was that included with my
But
package?
wait, how much was it though? What was the charge?
Okay, so like for everything included, she told me 140.
That's not bad, honestly.
Like
That's,
$140.
$140 for long time love.
Yeah.
that's not bad.
Some,
I can't believe I
Should just
said
done
that
it.
on air.
well,
Yeah.
You should have said, "Well, I'm just going to go home and do it for free."
Yeah. Uh,
I
I
know.
don't want to get an STD, so.
Yeah, I'm good on not needing your assistance on destroying my life.
that would be a great scene for a movie, though. Just like the guy frantically trying to get dressed, but the whole time kind of coming back to 140 is really not that bad. But I gotta go. I can't. Did you say 140? Like, see, where are my pants? Oh my god, 140?
Well,
Oh,
Yes.
that's when that voice should go off in the back of your head, like, you know what? I could probably go to jail for this. Like, I gotta
Yeah.
go, I gotta go like now.
I just so I got my clothes on and left, and I even went down to the police station to let them know about it. And of course, all he could tell me was like, I could just take it to the people who take care of this stuff in general. All I can really do is just take a report or arrest the person you want me to, take in. And I was just like, okay, so you can't really do much of anything.
Yeah.
Did he really just focus on what the address was and how much it was? Was he writing that
You
down?
know
a lot?
what? And he probably did, because he asked where
Did you say
was it, and I said it's
140?
right next to the
Jesus.
Wimpy's Burger place.
Right. He go, oh, that one. Yeah. Yeah, we
He's
know
all,
about
and,
that
he,
one.
and he's
Yeah.
all like, oh, and he goes, they're all over the place.
Yeah, we're watching that.
And I'm like, I bet you do know that, don't you? Well, I'm definitely past my hour.
Well, actually, I know you're past your hour, but what the sad thing about those places is a lot of those women are trafficked here illegally.
Yeah.
And they're basically treated like slaves. So that's the sad part about those places.
And you
like
know
that.
what? If that ever happened again or something like that, where if I was in that situation again, which I'm not trying to be, I would just say, you know what? Take the money, just take it, because I'd rather you have dignity than none at all.
She probably wouldn't get it though. That's a problem. You could give it to her.
No,
but
she'd get it from.
yeah.
My point is, she would have dignity from me.
Yeah.
A guy that actually would say no. I'd rather you have it to be able to take care of yourself than just have to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Start working the
You do-
business in.
I feel
Just
bad
be
for
like,
them.
just be like, you should be saying 2 and then pocketing the extra. You know what I'm saying? Listen, if you're gonna do this, you got a new job? You going to go off to a new job? Is that what I heard?
Yes, tomorrow.
Have we already talked about that? Am I out of the loop already?
Earlier, yes. I had
Dang.
mentioned it earlier in the show.
Does that mean you left your other job?
I haven't left it yet.
Okay.
Tomorrow is paperwork, but they want me there at 9 a.m. So,
Have we talked about where this job is, or are you leaving that out?
no, it's a wireless, like phone selling kiosk inside Costco.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's people
That'd be
who have
fun.
like AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, where we can help them set their phones up or take care of any like special, needs they need done in general.
But you're not
So-
going to be that. You're not going to be that dick inside Walmart that's constantly following me around. Who do you have for
No.
service? You're not going to be that guy. I hate that guy. Don't be that
No.
guy.
No, in fact, where the thing is located, it's more of like we don't even approach them; they approach us.
I got you. Yeah.
Because if they're
Those are
already
better.
a customer of that company, we just help them with their, service that they need done.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and take off, guys.
All right.
All right.
See you
Cool.
later.
Take care.
Always. See ya.
Later.
See.
Well, here we are.
That was fun. I hate that I've missed
Good to
like
know.
half of the conversation.
Yeah.
I don't want to bring up stuff that's already been spoken about.
Yeah, but going back to what I was talking about a minute ago, that's a big problem. We need to. That's a big problem that needs to be addressed. But it seems like the powers that be don't want to address it as trafficking,
Well, you
different
know
types of
why.
trafficking, human trafficking, and
Well,
yeah.
I know exactly why, but it's
I feel that some of the people in power have their hands tied into the black market, and that's where some of these people, like politicians, get paid.
yeah. When
Yeah.
I was talking earlier about disappearances and things like that, that's where a lot of it's going to. It's human trafficking.
Yeah.
especially when it comes to certain. Yeah, there's this like here locally. Actually, I worked with a guy. His stepdaughter went missing and
Jeez.
never been found. But that's been nearly 10 years ago.
Gosh,
Mm.
Yeah,
it's an awful.
yeah,
Always
yeah. I
wondering where your
mean,
child is. That's just my heart goes out to a parent that has to experience something like that.
yeah.
Hmm.
I didn't mean bring everything down, but
No,
it's just a
no.
weird. We were kind of on this, but what do you like getting into around your area of the country? Do you what is there to get into? Are you around a city or are you around?
Who? All right, is the question directed at me?
Yes,
Okay. Well, I'm kind of like outside of the city. I'm not really in the country. I'm kind of like in the suburbia area. It was the
that's good.
country, so it still has like that country kind of feel, small town feel, kind of.
Yeah,
But I did grow up in the city though. Um, I like whenever the weather's perfect to go on hikes and stuff like that. So, but I don't really like to be around a whole lot of big groups of people.
yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What state are
That
you in again? I'm sorry, I missed that part.
understanding.
Texas.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's become a pretty popular destination the last couple of years for people moving there. A lot of people moving there. I've always liked Texas. It would be a place I'd consider moving if I ever moved. But as far as right now goes, where I'm at, it's pretty safe at the moment for the most part.
Yeah, our real
I
estate's
know.
starting to get expensive slowly. It's
That's what I've
rising.
heard.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
And you know, I have my hands in real estate as well. So I keep saying that we are going to be the next California in real estate. How expensive it is in California, we're eventually going to get that way in Texas.
Hopefully, you're one of the people that says, "Well, don't if you're going to move here, don't bring your politics here."
I have to be right down the middle in business.
Yeah.
I can't be political in
Well,
business.
in your
Yeah.
yeah, well, in your business, obviously, but you're not going to turn down a sale because that's
No, no,
what's
no.
how somebody leans, obviously. But
Well, a lot of
that's
yeah. Well, a lot of people from California that are moving to Texas, a lot of them are conservatives
you know,
that are
Yeah, I
fighting.
find that a
Yeah,
lot here in Tennessee. 'Cause I'm
yeah,
just like 30, 45 minutes outside of Nashville, so you can imagine the
well,
boom that's happening out here.
Nashville is another real popular place for people moving
Oh
as
yeah,
well as Texas. Yeah,
our real estate market has gotten insane,
and
absolutely insane.
I think it's just getting expensive everywhere now,
Yeah,
especially now with inflation and stuff like that.
yeah,
but when's the bubble gonna burst?
I
yeah,
That's my real estate question.
well, here's the thing. When you think about it, did California ever get affordable or cheap whenever it did burst? No, it didn't. It stayed expensive. I just think that we're entering this new era and culture and lifestyle where the rich are going to get richer and the poor are going to get poorer. I think that's where we're
yeah,
arriving here in our country. And of course, we're like a baby country in history. We're going through the it's almost like the puberty of growing in this nation where other countries have evolved way before we have. We're still a baby country, so who knows what's going to happen in the next 50 years.
Yeah,
yeah. But some of those countries aren't doing any good either. So
No.
especially European countries,
yeah.
you know.
And do
I
you think
mean,
it's because we're connected globally? Because it's
yeah,
becoming more of a global market?
probably, yeah, a little bit.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I don't want to get because I'm afraid I piss off people. I don't like getting too
Yeah,
political and stuff like
right.
that. But I mean, if people think going to socialism or communism is the way to go, you're dumb as a box of dog shit. Because if you think people are poor now, wait till you try that out.
Well, the reality of it is you're never really going to take money from the elite. And people who think
Yeah,
that they're going to give their
yeah,
money, that they're dead
yeah,
wrong. So,
yeah, yeah. That's because all socialism and really all it boils down to it's just a fancier word for feudalism. Basically, it's basically the same thing. instead of having a king or something in power, you've got government bureaucracy.
I'm sorry. Can I just chime in for a second because this is the first time I'm seeing this?
What is it?
Bob Saget died?
Really?
A couple of hours ago,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Is
From
that real?
what? I knew
don't
he
know.
was. I mean, he's been on a bunch of.
Did he die like at 65, the age of 65 or something like that?
Yeah, but I mean, he's been on a bunch. He was on a bunch of podcasts this past year, especially since the death of Norm. Do we know from what? Has anybody said from what?
No, I haven't. I didn't. When I saw that before, I hopped on and they didn't say of what yet.
This is the first time I've saw it. Sorry, I just said to chime in there. It's the first time I saw this. It's catching me as off guard as Norm Macdonald did.
Yeah,
That's when you
pretty
know we're
crazy.
getting older. We're getting older, aren't we? Than when like people that we used to watch on TV, like when we were kids, are dying.
Yeah,
That's pretty crazy.
it's really getting nuts.
He's how old was he? He's
65.
Yeah.
That's why I'm wondering if it was because
COVID.
I know he was on some of the podcasts I listened to him on. He was super depressed about Norm Macdonald. So I'm wondering if it was some sort of not an accident.
Mm.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, I haven't heard anything myself because usually that kind of stuff pops up on Instagram pretty quick, and
Yeah,
haven't seen anything.
all I'm seeing is that it was just announced that he passed, but nothing's saying anything of why
Yeah,
or how. I guess
that sucks.
that sucks big time.
Yeah,
Damn it.
yeah, yeah. It's so crazy. With it's kind of funny how Bob Saget, how he basically had to clean his act up for Family Matters, or excuse not Family Matters, excuse me, for Full House, and he was a filthy comedian.
He was.
I don't-
It was
yeah.
absolutely filthy.
Yeah, and I think he kind of couldn't wait for the day for the show to be over with. I'm sure he.
I never knew how
Name
filthy
it.
he was until he made that cameo in Half Baked. When he made that cameo in Half Baked, I was like, "Damn, Bob!" And then I started looking into his stand up, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, yeah. He's on what is it here? He's on My mind's just going blank all over the place now. You know how I am. Oh, Entourage. You guys familiar with Entourage? The
Oh
show?
yeah.
He had cameos in Entourage, and he's basically usually he would be like the next door neighbor or something. He'd always make little short appearances, but most of the time is usually dealing with this basically this whorehouse they would be visiting, and it would just be and he would jump on there, but he'd always be trying to peddle the Full House DVD box set to him. He'd always be trying to give him this to everybody every time he'd come in and say, "Here, take these DVDs." It was pretty funny.
He was found in a hotel room.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's never good.
Mm-mm.
Not hopefully he didn't hopefully it wasn't autoerotic asphyxiation.
Oh, not again.
No.
Isn't that the way they get the guy from NXX? NXS died, right? Wasn't it something like that?
Yeah,
That was how it
and,
was. What was it, David?
yeah.
What was his name? Freaking Bill from Kill Bill. David. Now I'm blank.
Hey Jody,
Yeah,
look at your screen.
there you go. But what's his last name? Carradine.
Carradine.
There it is.
Carradine. Yep.
Okay, they haven't made an announcement of the cause of death yet. That sucks.
So is your feature length movie? Have you written it yet? Or I know you said earlier you're going to
Yeah,
start
we're
writing
going
it.
to start hammering it out in April.
Who kind of works on that with you? Do you have a writing partner
Yeah,
or?
well, my husband is, Leo Winters, and he helps me, and I'm also bringing on a guy who's very experienced in the scripts. I'm not going to mention his name here because I'm going to be interviewed by a horror magazine tomorrow, so I'm going to
Nice.
release the information with
Hmm.
them. Yeah.
How much have you guys already talked about anything about the movie, or are you saving that for the horror
No,
magazine?
so I mean, what we're doing is it's just going to be my forte is more of like kind of like ghost stuff.
Hmm.
That's the kind of films that I like.
Cool.
So heading in that direction, that I can say.
Yeah.
I got you. I got you.
Are you gonna? Is the midnight cinema hour? Is it gonna be? You gonna try to release it on any physical media? You gonna try to do
No,
that or?
well, my shorts. What I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna get them out, like I said, to the film festivals, and just to kind of show off the people who've helped me, their work and everything. Um, and I considered that after it's all said and done, just releasing it as something on YouTube for people to view, or just combining them all together and just releasing it on a physical like DVD or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, definitely keep us posted. We'll definitely
yeah,
have you on again sometime, and
yeah,
because I like to pick it up whenever you do release it.
yeah. Well, thank you.
Definitely. Yeah.
What's today's date?
Try to keep up with. I know. I think it's the 8th or 9th, isn't
The
it?
ninth.
Yeah.
Okay, so this like I'm sorry, I keep going back to Bob Saget. I really apologize, guys. I'm just like
It threw you for the
he
loop.
he tweeted something at 2:42 a.m. today talking about this live show that he just got done doing. He was up on stage for 2 hours and then told everybody to go check out bobsaget.com for his tour dates. And that just happened at 2:42 a.m. today.
Wonder if he didn't have a
Hmm.
heart attack.
Possible.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning now. It's got to be something just out of left field, heart, brain, something like that.
Yeah.
Because that's crazy to just be just
Yeah.
having a conversation less than 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
And that is
Sorry.
exactly why everyone should live their life the way they please, because just like that, we're
Yeah.
gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Live your life and make sure everybody knows how you feel.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
Bring
You just don't know.
Yeah.
That's
whatever he died of. I'm sure it's COVID.
oh yeah, he'll
It'll
probably
be it'll
test
be
positive
COVID
for that.
related. Died of a heart attack. It's COVID.
Swab them when they roll them in. That was dark. I apologize. It's too soon for that. But Bob would have enjoyed that joke.
Yeah.
But
Where do you usually like to film your movies? You try to film them locally. You try to because I mean I know that's probably the cheapest, but do you try to?
Yeah. So, both of my shorts have been filmed in Fort Worth. Um, so I'll probably just say, look, like I said, locally, Fort Worth, Dallas, the outer areas for my feature film. Yeah.
what's kind of the game plan nowadays? Because I know it feels at least I haven't looked into trying to do it, but it feels at least like it's a lot easier to try to get a streaming service to pick up on a film than it is to actually get it in a theater. Is that kind of like
Well, first you have
coming? Is that where you're kind of looking at, or is everybody still really wanting a theatrical
I
release?
I think it's for well, I'm indie. I have no desire to ever do anything major. Like that's just not me.
Right, right.
I like a skeleton crew. I
Yeah,
like doing things on the underground and then bringing it up to an audience. That's just who I am. I was a teenager of the 90s, and so I still
right.
have that whole old school punk rock vibe of doing it yourself and
Yes.
don't do what other people are doing. So that never really left me. Um, so if I get picked up, distributed where they want to put me on a streaming service, cool. If not, then I mean, then they don't. Then I'll put my
Right,
own
right.
stuff out. I'll put my own stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's I do film because it's a passion, not because I'm trying to make an income off of it. If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you come across a few people in the industry that, I mean, that's their livelihood, and that's totally cool. But that's not me. That's not my livelihood. I'm doing it because I want to, and because I have a passion for it. It's more of an art thing for me than it is a moneymaker thing.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know, like, I think one of the big streaming services right now for horror is that Shutter. I don't
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
subscribe to it. I just know of it.
Yeah.
And
I used to be on Shudder. Like I used to subscribe to them, but I just canceled my membership.
I don't know if they do kind of like Netflix. Like, I know that they've put out some movies under Shutter. I think I actually own a couple. Um, but I don't know how they go fishing for talent and scripts and stuff. I don't know how they do all that.
Well, with Shudder, what I find that a lot of their people are on social media, and I don't like to deal with people that are like a popularity contest. How many followers you have? How big? Who are you in the horror genre? That's not me. I think that in a business, you need to keep your point of view free and open for people. You know, so
Yeah, yeah.
I just yeah. So that's why I like Prime.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe here in the future though we'll start seeing a whole lot more of independent made movies, just because, like I was saying, it's so much cheaper nowadays to some degree. At least on the some of the production end, it can be a lot cheaper. I know it's still you still have to have a budget for a movie, especially to hire actors. That's the hardest part is you have to hire actors to do it, and sometimes I guess you can get people to work for nothing, especially.
Yeah,
But
well, especially if you're messing with people who are SAG, you have to
yeah,
pay SAG. So there's a lot.
yeah,
Anyone can grab a camera and feel like they're making a movie, but it depends on what direction you want to go. Do you want to do something that's just kind of at the spur of the moment, or do you want to do something that has a little bit of structure?
Hmm.
So it's very even though I do it because I'm passionate about it, it still can be stressful. It's a lot. It consumes you until you're finished with the project.
Oh yeah.
what
Yeah.
what people should do is almost they should kind of put together their own like film company and own film troupe and almost have it like the old days where like a studio would have their whole stable of actors, but almost have a bunch of people together, actors and filmmakers, everybody together and come together, and so you have the actors and directors making something in one, and everybody kind of. I know it's that kind of sounds a little bit socialistic, but it's like having everybody kind of share in the whole project and come together to make it, so you don't have to rely so much on the outside and large fluctuating cost of a movie. Um, it would be interesting if you had a
Yeah.
large group of people that were interested in filmmaking, interested in movies in general, things like that.
Yeah. Well, when you decide to make a film, or if that's the direction that someone wants to do and they want to do it, on their own time, it's good to work with people that you get along with. There's a lot of egos in filmmaking. A lot of
Oh yeah,
people who think that they really know their shit, and they can be
Right.
pretty arrogant. They can be pretty arrogant about it. And I don't have time for those behaviors.
yeah,
Nah.
yeah. I'd say a lot of this is actually. I think I made a video back in earlier in the year. It was about another site, and they had done they were going to do a charity stream with Zack Snyder whenever just right before the Justice League came out, before he released his Justice League cut, and he basically has a charity that's basically for domestic abuse or something like that. I think that's how his wife got killed, like, or not. No, it's not domestic abuse. It's for
No,
people for
it's for the
murder.
suicide stuff.
Yeah,
From
suicide.
where,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
from where his
Yeah,
daughter.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm sorry, but he was these people that I watched. One of the guys, they were going to have him on this charity stream, and he agreed to come on. And so basically, what had happened, like before the charity stream, the guy that I watched, he basically got on there with Zack Snyder and said, "Hey, I don't really like your movies, but hey, yeah, let's get together and raise some money." But he told him, "I don't like your movies." And then when Zach came on the stream, he basically said, he was on with a bunch of other people, and he said, "Well, basically, your organization, I don't want to have it be affiliated with you guys." And he got mad, and he was like, and on the stream, he was talking about, well, he shouldn't have acted like that. I said, well, dude, this guy's a fucking big time director. He's a narcissist, I'm sure, and he's got a massive ego. Why would you say, "Oh, I don't like your movies," and then what do you expect him to do? He's going to, that's
Yeah.
and I think for some of these filmmakers, you look back in history, some of them, the greats, they are like that. You got weirdos, and you got some that are weirdos, but they're all like, especially the brilliant ones. A lot of them are narcissists. That's what I guess, to some degree, to be a director, you got to be a little bit of it, because you got to be able to take charge of a group of people. That's why I probably would never be good at it, because I'm not that kind of take charge person. But I, some of them, they're like this.
Yeah.
Then you got the weirdos that just did too many drugs and got into weird stuff. Like,
Yeah, and when we get a wind of that, we cut them off immediately. It's like, nope, you're not going to be on our set. Goodbye.
Right? Yeah. Get rid of that stuff as soon as possible. When you guys, is this going to be your first full length? Did I hear that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess I don't know. What's like the kind of finished goal? Like, is that, excuse me. Do you guys have like a place? I know we've got a couple of places here, kind of local, where they're publicly owned theaters, so you can actually rent it out and show whatever you want to. You guys have a lot of those out there?
We do.
We have one. Oh man, it's like very specifically horror based. The guy bought an entire theater after it closed down, and he has tons of stuff from film, all sorts of film he displays within it. He took half of it, and what was the theater, he turned it into a haunted house that's 24, or not 24, but all year round. You can go into it
So
whenever.
cool. Yeah,
And
it's so cool.
yeah, and I guess it was back in, this was last April or May or something, but he did like a screening of the 2018 Halloween. And he had the guy that played Michael Myers came in and did like a Q&A.
Wow.
But I mean, for directors making films like you're wanting to do, that to me would just be like one of those kind of like crowning jewels at the end, just to be able to get into a place like that where your crowd is going to be there.
Right.
But yeah, to know that there's places like that all around is cool.
And it's nice to know that there's people in the genre that are supportive, and that I think maybe I don't know the gentleman that you're talking about, like on a personal level, but I think that a person who does something like that, if horror is one of his favorite genres, and he probably liked it at starting, like when he was a kid.
Oh yeah.
Most people that are hardcore like that, most of them fell in love with the genre, like in elementary school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those genres. Once you're in it, you don't really get out. You either kind of stay here, just liking it, or you go like super deep into it, and you're way up here. I think I've always just kind of stayed here. I love it, but like I'm not gonna like paint my house black and do all this crazy stuff. I would never buy a theater and make it into a big giant prop house. But yeah. I've got a very large horror section, so I think that's about as far as I can go with it.
Or what you do is you just start making horror films.
I would love to. I would love to be a part of something like that. Me and my brother, when I was younger, when my parents got our first like video camera, and it was the VHS you put on your shoulder, you held like this.
Yeah,
we made movies like crazy, and they were all sorts of stuff. But we did horror movies and all sorts of crap. I would love to get back into that. I just don't know where to go to do it. Like
Well,
I need
that's
to.
the whole thing is I was talking to one of my friends a few months ago. I was like, I feel like the DFW area is like early Hollywood. Like we're seeing something slowly happen in our area where films are being made more
Mhm.
and more. And but when I went out to California, I know that they're having their issues, but there's this vibe there, an established vibe where things are happening for film still in California. Okay, it'll take years for Texas to ever be like what Hollywood is. I mean that's film history. That's
Yeah,
history that's happened out there. But there most certainly is this. I feel like in the DFW area, it's the beginning of something great happening, and I just feel lucky that I'm here.
Well,
And
I'm
they're
not.
making.
you guys have a few big filmmakers that do operate out of Texas. Well, two of them that definitely operates out of Texas, like Robert Rodriguez and
Mhm.
Richard Linklater. But
Texas is a big old state.
Wes Anderson, he's a Texas guy too. But I don't know if he really operates out of Texas anymore. But because most of his movies are kind of take place everywhere. But I know Robert Rodriguez has that his studios there, and I'm pretty sure a lot of Richard Linklater stuff kind of takes place in the area. So I don't know if you're familiar with Richard Linklater or not,
Mm.
but
What did
he
you
did
name?
Dazed and Confused
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, 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 yeah.
all that stuff. But most of his movies kind of take place within that area.
Who's the? We got a comment over.
Yeah.
Who's that? Oh,
Oh,
Sinister
from
Syndrome.
DFW. Hope everyone's doing well. Sinister Syndrome 86.
He's in the DFW.
Awesome.
Represent Texas.
Texas.
Is he on?
Oh, I kind of am like right there. See it like right here.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
No.
I'm trying to
Well, that's a
scroll
very
back on
big
all the
thing.
comments that's been happening since I didn't
Oh
show up.
gosh, who knows what everyone's saying after these crazy conversations?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good crazy, not bad crazy.
Yeah,
We've been kind of all over the place tonight. It's good
Say
though.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
You came here for film. You got a lot more,
Yeah.
especially with Charlie. Jesus Christ.
Oh, he made me laugh. He's just so funny,
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about. Do you remember that it came out in the early '90s? It was called 2 Days in the Valley. You remember that movie?
I
You guys
remember
remember
hearing the
that?
title, 2 Days in the Valley, but I don't
Yeah,
remember seeing it.
I think it was the first movie with Charlize Theron in it, and or Theron, however she pronounces it, Charlize Theron. I think it's one of the first movies with her in it. But I'm Jeff Daniels is in. He plays like an undercover cop, but they're investigating like one of those massage parlors, and but he refers to it as a hand job house. And I always, I was thinking of that the whole time he was talking about it, but I couldn't think of how to stick it in there. So I always thought, it was,
She thought about how to stick it in there. Ah, yes.
yeah,
Uh oh yeah, I remember this movie.
it's a pretty good movie.
They're
But
advertising like it went straight to HBO. That's not right.
well, do you have anything you're looking forward to as far as movies this year? Do you keep up with mainstream very much, or
Well, I am going to go see the new Scream this Thursday. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel like super excited because I did see the original Scream back in 1996, and it was just a different vibe. Like it was a packed house.
yeah,
Yeah.
We were a whole bunch of teenagers on dates, and everyone was excited. And then the tension in the theater, it was just like this slasher. It was just I don't know if they're going to be able to. Do that again. I think that's Scream. The original Scream was, I think, one of the best out of all this little Scream series. But I don't know what I'm walking into on Thursday. I'm going to try to be fair about it and give it a viewing and have an open mind. Um, there's that, and I will be watching the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre that's coming out in February on Netflix.
I
Am
like
I
the
happy?
trailer. The trailer looked good for that.
Well, am I happy that they're calling what is it, Hungry Texas? No, but hey, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about the new Scream. I'm kind of in the same boat you do. I remember when the first one came out. It was just like there was a lot of new about that movie that he hadn't really done before, and I just don't. I mean, I don't know. They tried to revamp it with the show. I never even saw an episode.
I never watched the show
Yeah,
ever.
so I don't know. I hope it does okay, mainly because it's got all the originals in there. But at the same time, because it has all the originals in there, it's just me thinking they were just like, "Hey, let's make a movie and see if we can get everybody back and
Cash
get
grab.
everybody." That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the surprise ending would be that would surprise me this
Yeah.
far into it.
Right.
I mean, unless what's her face turns out to be the killer, which would make zero sense.
Yeah.
If Sydney turned out to be the killer, it would make zero sense. Would that
Right.
Yeah.
surprise me? Yes, it would. But
Yeah.
so I don't know. I don't know where they plan on going with this.
Yeah. All
I
those
just
90. Who was her? Who played her in the original? What was her name? That actress's name?
Nev
uh
Campbell?
yeah.
Who?
Nev Campbell?
Yeah, yeah, that's her name. Yeah, I just thinking back on the '90s and all those movies. Those actresses and actors were in so many movies back in the day. I don't know. It's just it was a different time, like you were talking about before. Really, none of us had really had. I doubt that any of us had cell phones. They were around, but nobody could really afford them then. I mean, or they weren't worth they were today. Most people had them like in their cars. They had like a little car phone or something,
Mm-hmm.
like a
Sure.
Motorola car phone. I
Right.
mean, I think
That
my
was like
parents
this
had that,
big.
but
Remember how
Yeah.
big those
yeah,
car phones were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. But just looking back on the '90s, people. I mean, it's just something a little more peaceful than it is now. I don't know. I'm obviously right now, but like really, the internet didn't do a lot of harm to society. It brought out like negative vlogging and stuff, or blogging and things like that, and negative comments. But it didn't. But everybody didn't have a computer, like they,
Right.
you still had. I mean, you still had basically it was people who wanted to get a computer, but when cell phones come out, they made the technology is so basic on cell phones that like a baby can play with a phone and kind of recognize the shapes on it. So any idiot can pick up a phone and figure out how to use it, and that's what they want. And so the social media now reaches everybody, anybody who gets a phone, which is about everybody now. A big part of the population. So it's really like this whole like you were talking about, this whole trial period for society and this technology is like
The growing pains of it.
it's
We're the
really,
growing
yeah,
pains of it. Yeah.
yeah. But where it will go, I don't know. I mean, the behaviors it's brought out, it's just it's it's interesting to say the least.
Well, it's like this. You remember Jerry Springer?
Oh yeah.
It's like Jerry Springer exploded, and it's
Yeah,
all over social media now. It's
yeah,
We
like
all
that
have a
whole
Springer. That's what we
mentality.
have.
Yes.
That would be a
yeah,
great cell phone company. We need to write Ryan Reynolds, tell him to change his Mint to Springer.
yeah.
But don't you feel that there's a possibility that with social media, it's almost like, and maybe this is me getting a little weird, maybe it's like a psychological evaluation of society and how everyone interacts when there's something that happens that's traumatic.
Well, I think the negative effect, the problem I see is the negative effect on the intellect of the children coming up. They
Right.
didn't. I mean, I'm no brainchild or nothing. It's not like it's. I mean, the name of my channel is not like some brilliant thing. It's just kind of based on real life, but these kids coming up though, you don't have to like if somebody asks me a question about something, I try to think about it, the way you used to do it. But these kids, they just go to the phone immediately. And you can have the answer to anything you can think about. It's on your phone. I mean, it's a great tool, but it's not so great for, mental advancement or mental development. I think it's gonna hurt a lot of things in that area in the future. I just don't see the up. I just don't think if I had I don't have kids, and it's hard. I can't say this not being a parent, but if I had kids myself, hopefully I'd have a partner that would agree with me and not allow my children. We wouldn't allow our children to even have screens and any screens period until like 15 or 16 years old. Because I mean, because I see some of my cousins and stuff and their kids, and they let them have a phone like when they're babies, and stuff, and they know how to find YouTube on there and go to YouTube. And they necessarily can't type in the words, but if they know the buttons to push to go there, so I just don't know. I feel like it's going to turn their minds into goo, over the time.
It's definitely doing, I feel like, the opposite of what it was intended. It was intended to bring us all together and make us all smarter, but it seems
Yeah.
like it's just dividing and making everybody dumb. And it's little things that you don't even think about. Like my kids started to have to take a typing class, and my 12-year-old was like, "Why am I taking this? Like it's hard." I'm like, "Well, you're learning like your home keys." And he was like, "Yeah, I get that, but that's not how I type. I type like this." And I'm like, and I'm sitting there like, I can't argue with this because that's how
Yeah.
they all that's and I mean it's even down to we're not even teaching cursive anymore. So signatures in the future are just going to be a button you push and your name shows up.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's taking away a lot.
it's taking away critical thinking,
Yes.
and this is not me trying to get political at all, but I'll never forget when someone brought up a really good point. They said, well, they're trying to eliminate cursive because if they are able to do that, then in the future they won't be able to read the Constitution. So I don't know. I was like, okay, well, it makes
That's
sense. Then, yeah.
that's a long
Well,
game, but I get it.
well, well, critical theory's been replaced by critical theory, or yeah, critical thinking's been replaced by critical theory,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is a lot of nonsense. And I'm sure, I don't know. I don't know if you're a parent, Lana, but I know
I am.
Jody is. But I'm sure you guys probably had to deal with that stuff,
It's
depending on how
interesting.
old you're.
So the best way to attack that is like keep your children informed of the arts. Um, Never like for me, I'm big on the arts. So my child is always around the arts, and you know, I make her read books and stuff like that, and kind of talk about history and things like that. So you just have to kind of balance out what public schools are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you deal with it as much in Texas as I could see there being more of a pushback in Texas than other states. So I don't know if you have to deal with it as much.
Hmm.
I don't know, but
Well,
I don't know.
I haven't come across any material that I find that affects the way I guess I choose to raise my daughter. If that makes sense,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
yeah, I don't. I'm not coming across anything too political and education. I just hate that we've arrived at this place. I just think that we should just kick politics to the side and just teach kids. Teach them.
Yeah.
Just teach them. Teach.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. The education's, but it's been in decline for years and years.
Yeah.
I think I mean, I can't, not having kids, I can't really throw my hat into that arena too much. You know, I can just kind of base it off other people's opinions who have children and kind of know see what they're going through. But it's just I just don't know. I mean that's the whole point. Like when you get down to it, they want to dumb down the population. I mean, when you dumb down the population, you can control them, and that's
But
what they want.
if you dumb down the population can become more dangerous, which means you can dumb
Yeah,
down people. Of
yeah,
course, eventually, they're going to just go with what you say. But then that tribal, barbaric, you know, personality will eventually come out. Like you dumb down people enough, they're not going to care. They'll be brutal and barbaric.
but that's what we're seeing. Though a lot of
It might backfire.
yeah,
If that's what I'm trying to say, it might backfire in the long run. It might
yeah,
do opposite of what they're trying to achieve, and it might bite them for doing it.
yeah,
I think we're going to find
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be in our lifetime, but I think we're going to find out.
Well,
yeah.
where do you feel like this is just my opinion? I feel like we're probably experiencing a modern day in history, a modern day depression that's like on a global level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like when my great grandmother, she was a part of the Great Depression in America, but I feel like it's almost like a modern day depression that's on a global level.
Yeah. But as with the depression in the 30s, it was brought on purpose. It wasn't an accident.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
would you? I mean, do you see what I'm trying to say here
Yeah.
without me
Yeah.
saying it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
want to get kicked off YouTube. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I know. There's a lot of things I like to talk about, but I don't talk about much on here. I just can't find. I like to find a partner that I can talk politics with, but the problem is with YouTube, you got to skirt around so many things. What you talk about, you can't say certain things. Now I can get away with it because I don't have, I'm not monetized. But if you get monetized and you start getting to the point where you get super chats, they start really monitoring what you're saying a lot more. Like you got to kind of watch even your language a little bit, like cursing a little bit. Some people don't care, but they can pull your monetization for cursing and stuff at a certain point. So, but as long as you're not monetized, you can kind of get away with things a little more, but not not too much. You get too political, they'll probably pull your string.
Yeah.
Hmm.
it just all depends on which political thing you're talking about. That's the scary part.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the big argument is can these, and that's the thing. These companies are they want to say, oh, like Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, they want to say, well, we're a private company, so we can regulate our company however we want. But you're providing a public service, so that's the big argument: is should they be regulated like a public service and not like a privately owned company? Because it's should be we should have the freedom of speech on a public service. A publicly you should have freedom of speech and not being, and basically that's not what's happening. They're just setting their own regulations and whatever they want to do, and they're regulating free speech, and that's not how it should be. And that's
Yeah.
the argument
They're
today.
using loopholes of a private,
Yeah,
entity to get away with that.
yeah. But nobody else step up. We just the government's too bought off at this point in time. We got to get rid of like well, we got to get rid of. I've lost train of thought, but we got to get rid of lobbying, political lobbying, things like that. People making money off the government, but it's got so far out of control. That's the problem. Things have got spun so far out of control with special interests and things like that in Washington that it's just
They
It's
sold
hard.
out.
It's no way to
Yeah.
come. It looks like it's almost there's no way to come back for it from it. It's so bad. But I'm not calling to say we need a revolution because I think this our system, in, if it was working correctly, is the best system there is. But there's things we obviously have big problems, but big problems that need to be solved. But not we don't need to necessarily destroy the system and put in something else that's definitely not going to work for something that's can be repaired.
Yeah, so I watched this particular film, and it was, of course, in Spanish and it was in English subtitles. And I was a little bit floored because I did a little bit of research on this certain film. And I was so surprised how the news that we think that we hear, like, we hear like American news. Okay, great. But I almost feel like sometimes we live in a bubble when it comes to information because I didn't realize that there was a lot of femicide happening like in Latin America, like Chile and like Venezuela. Like there's a lot of women being killed down there, and they're saying that a lot of most of the crimes that are happening to these women will go unprosecuted. Like it was just it just blew my mind. Like I know that there's crimes that happen in other countries, obviously, but I was like, well, this is something like pretty serious that's happening. Never knew that that was even an issue. And I mean, and it's just like south of us, south of this
Yeah.
country. It's just so bizarre.
Nobody's
Well,
nobody's found a way to make money off of it yet.
There you go.
So
Venezuela.
No,
Yeah, yeah, Venezuela. See, I have a whole.
and Chile too. Chile is a modern country in Latin America, and I mean, they were having huge issues with that.
Yeah, my whole theory, a little bit of a theory of mine it's not just a theory I've come up with top of my head, but it's from reading books and different subject matter. But essentially, after World War II, you had the destruction of the Third Reich. Well, the Nazis flee to Brazil. Essentially, they go to South America, or yeah, South America.
In Mexico.
Yeah, they go to and well, in part of after the World War II, we had Operation Paperclip, and that was simply to get part of it was to get Nazi scientists out of out of Germany and come over here. People like Werner von Braun, people that end up leading the American space program. But also part of Paperclip, and a lot of people don't know, is that the CIA recruited a lot of the SS officers into their ranks. So the CIA was basically their tactics are the CIA was formed after World War II, and they had been recruiting these people into, I guess, the OSS and things, which eventually became the CIA. So they basically recruited a bunch of Nazis into their ranks, and they adopted and the CIA's adopted Nazi principle and Nazi tactics of coercion and propaganda. So, and I believe what we see happening, and what you see
Propaganda.
post World War II, what you start seeing is in Latin America, you start seeing a lot of you see a lot of the democratic governments there. That a lot of them are thriving, including Venezuela and things. But you start seeing them fall to like communistic, and I believe in a lot of it's in the CIA has a lot to do with it. The CIA they've run roughshod all over Central America for years, overthrowing governments and things like that. But if you look at it on a map, you see it kind of coming from the south north, like it's coming towards the United States. So you have these communistic regimes coming in place, like Cuba, Venezuela, and all these wonderful countries just falling to communism, basically, or they've fallen to communism, and then these countries are just destroyed. I mean, these beautiful countries they've destroyed, and the people are destitute. And so it's made its way to now. It's made its way all the way to the United States, and now we're seeing those same tactics, CIA tactics of overthrowing governments being applied to us. And they're using, and I believe the Nazis. I believe the Nazis basically they hated the communists because communism's the National Socialist game, authoritarianism. It's the same game. It's just under a different banner, basically. So they've been using communism because they know Americans hate communism. They've used it to infiltrate. So I think it's I think it's the Fourth Reich. I think it's what's happening to us. I think we're living under the Fourth Reich,
Mm, interesting.
under the rouge of communism.
Yeah. Well, we're most definitely experiencing some sort of modern history that our great grandchildren will be reading about.
I'm sorry I don't explain it that well, but that's a theory of mine.
No, but it sure feels like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense to me.
It's like in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, where Hunter S. Thompson has that line where he's in the movie or in the book. It's called Bazooka Circus, but it was Circus in Las Vegas, excuse me. But he has that line where he's like, Bazooka Circus, and this is the Fourth Reich. This is basically this is what happens if the Nazis had won the war.
Yeah, it's
You
one of
know,
those. It's one of those deals where you know what it is. It's so simple, but when you go to explaining it, it's more complex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I
yeah. I
think,
just go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead. You go ahead. You had a thought. I was going to make a
Well,
joke. You had a
no,
legit thought.
no.
No,
Well,
you,
it's just I was just saying I tried not to go too like my conspiracy theory stuff is more political conspiracies. I don't go down the rabbit hole to Bigfoot and stuff like that very much. Those are interesting subjects on their own, but I don't tend to go down them. I got into it really because of getting interested in JFK and the JFK assassination. So that takes you down to many rabbit holes of conspiracy and many. So that's where my origins for things like that are. But I try to stick to political things, learning about the CIA, things like that. 'Cause that's what that book I showed you guys earlier. It's got stuff like that
So
in it.
I'll
So
I'll I'll tell I have to tell you something off the camera, but you like JFK?
yeah,
Well, um, my grandfather, his brother, was a police officer, and he got hired to do private security for Jack Ruby, and he was friends with Jack Ruby. Um, and so, whenever Jack Ruby was arrested, they took my great uncle in and they questioned him. And they were asking him like questions. He was like, "Hey," he was like, "I haven't spoken to him like I think was it like a couple of weeks or something like that." But um, Jack Ruby's sister called my great uncle to see if there's anything that he could do for Jack Ruby and speak on his behalf. It's just really interesting. But from what I know from my grandmother talking about Jack Ruby, because when my grandparents got married, Jack Ruby had the reception at a dance hall for them. Um, my grandmother said that he was just very political, um, and he loved Kennedy. She said that one time she was sitting there at the bar, and she said Jack Ruby was just a small, hot tempered guy. This guy was talking politics and was speaking against J. John F. Kennedy. She said, without saying anything, Jack Ruby came around that bar and she said, just beating on him. And then after that, he told the guys, get him out of here. A little bit more colorful than that.
right, right, right.
Yeah, but my grandfather's brother stopped working for him after he got stabbed in the stomach at his place. But they were great friends, and he met Jack Ruby out in Waxahachie, actually. Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you probably like the Kennedy assassination stuff. Kind of hits home in Texas because you know
Yeah, well,
being there.
it was so weird because like this might be a little off subject, but there was rumors that Jack Ruby was gay.
No,
And
no.
it was written, I'll have to show you where you can read it for yourself during the
Hmm.
investigation. And when they asked my great uncle, he was like, I don't know about that. There were rumors, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I've read anything about that or not. I've read so many books about it, but
And
I can't remember.
that's why I
Yeah,
find it that bizarre that there's access to it, and you just have to Google it, and I'll tell you where you can look for it. But where you can see where they're interviewing my great uncle about it, and he kind of briefly talks about that. But they write all these books, but they don't put the little details in it.
yeah,
That it's like a whole different story.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. But he didn't get to testify either. He died in jail before he could even testify. Like he didn't have cancer one day, and the next day he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it goes down to pretty long rabbit hole, different things. Yeah. What what interests me is it's a lot of the conspiracies when it even comes down to 9/11 and stuff. It's not like you have like your mainstream narrative talking points like, and I get into more of the side like they only want to focus on like the grassy knoll or the shooting itself. It's kind of like in 9/11 they want to focus on building 7 and all the main focal points, but all the little side stories, that's the interesting stuff, all the little weird coincidences and all the information going on. People don't want to, people don't know that there was during 9/11 there was a simultaneous exercise going on called Able Danger that was an exact simulation of what exactly was going on. Oh, how coincidental is that? It's like I think they run that coincidence in like in a computer, and it's like one that the chances of that happening is like one in a one 2 or 3 quadrillionth of a chance of that happening at the same time. No, they knew what was going on. They did it on purpose to confuse the Air Force so they couldn't scramble the jets against to take down those planes. That was
Mm.
the whole point of it.
Mm-mm-mm.
It's screwed up thinking, well, why would our government do it? But I mean, they just see what happened. Everything's just the means to an end. So what happened after 9/11? What all, the Patriot Act, all that stuff, bullshit. And it's really everything that's happened since 9/11's like just led up to where we've got to today.
Right. And so
You know.
after this chat, I expect to be audited.
Yeah.
Don't do that to me, John. Damn.
I'll be audited. I'm
Man.
just
Nah, they
kidding.
should.
I want the
I know.
record to be shown that I've been super quiet this whole time. Okay.
Yeah.
I know I'm here, but I'm not really here.
Yeah.
But
Guilty by association.
damn.
Yeah.
I've always told people, I'm like, like where I stand, I'm not worried about ever being canceled because you have to care in order to be canceled. Like you can't cancel someone who doesn't care about being canceled. That's how I am.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
I think
Well,
we've
you got
learned
a
a lot
few
here
people.
tonight, guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been all over the place. We've been all
This,
over the globe
I
tonight.
know I was only here for an hour of this 2-hour conversation, but I'm going to tell you what, this has been an
It's been pretty fun.
experience. I
It's
think the
been
most
fun.
important experience, or the most important thing that we've all learned is don't go
Yeah.
to a new massage place. Okay, just
Yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But surprisingly, $140. I mean, I'm still shocked by that. So
It's like at first I
just
was like,
remember
what?
that.
Well, I can't understand. He's got a girlfriend. Why don't you make his girlfriend do it? You know,
It's
you know,
just go.
not
Yeah,
and not the bad part. I'm just saying, make him give him a massage. You know, come on,
yeah, yeah.
please, yeah.
I was more worried about him just confessing that he goes and gets a massage. I didn't
Yeah,
understand.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
he took it further than I thought he was. I was like, oh, is that it? You just talking about? Yeah, I went and got a massage. Like, yeah, that's embarrassing, but you just kept going.
And then I
Okay,
chimed in. And then I chimed in, well, how much was it?
yeah. And he was like, let me tell you.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Oh, this has been fun, guys.
Well, you saw me kind of almost lose it when he was talking
Well,
about
you
not wanting
can.
to get the Viper room. That I don't know why that just tickled me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
That was good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Well,
all the.
we'll definitely have to have you back when the movie's in more of a motion, and maybe we can talk about some things.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. And when
Yeah,
you're not late.
I know, right?
yeah,
That's my
I'm
bad.
kidding.
That's
I'm
my bad.
kidding.
Listen,
I'm
yeah.
kidding.
at least I made it this time, right? At least I made it this time. Last time was a
Yeah.
complete it was awful. But yeah, I tried to drive as fast as I could.
Yeah.
I saw like 3 cop. I had to go one way and I had to come back the same way. On the way there, I saw about 3 cop cars. So I knew on the way back, I was like, I can't go as fast as I want to. So,
Yeah, we appreciate you having you on. Excuse me. I
oh
seen
yeah, Charlie just chimed in. Charlie, you're supposed to be in bed. You have work tomorrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love
Yeah.
you off this
Listen,
chat.
we can't leave you out of this conversation. You were part of an hour's worth of this conversation, so we're not leaving you out of this
yeah,
conversation.
yeah. We forget he's in California too. So what? You know,
It's
it's only
earlier
like
there. It's like,
7 o'clock there. So what
Oh,
time's he
come
go to
on. What
bed?
is this?
Yeah,
And you're just going to
yeah,
go do some paperwork. Get him back. Tell him to get back on here. I know we got to go.
yeah,
No, okay.
yeah,
Charlie went to go get a massage real quick.
yeah.
Oh,
I'm
Oh no.
kidding, Charlie. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I couldn't help it.
Yeah,
But yeah, definitely. We'll definitely have to get back together when we can
yeah.
talk about the movie more. I'm very interested to hear about this.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So where can people find you online? I do know it's Lana Winters on Instagram, but
Yeah, you can find me. I believe it's like when this is so embarrassing. I don't even keep up with like my usernames on.
It's super long. I know that.
It's Winters at Buzzerview Manor on Instagram, and it's you can find me on Twitter. All you got to do is just Google Buzzerview Manor, and I'll come up. And you can find me on Facebook under Lana Winters. So
okay,
Awesome.
excellent.
yeah,
Where can we find you at, Jody?
I am Stills raising 4Ks everywhere. Instagram, YouTube, and the TikTok. I'm chiming in on the TikTok. That's been interesting.
I still can't get it down. I just share pictures with music, and then I just move on. I'm like, this is just too technical for me.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Listen, I keep it as basic as possible.
Yes.
I see people doing crazy stuff. I'm like, nope, I'm just going to press record, do a video, and move on with my life. I
Yeah.
can't be there for half an hour on a 60-second video.
Yeah.
Well, I'm at Low IQ Media on Instagram and on YouTube. And not to be confusing, Lana, but I went back to my old name. I was named Love for a Kentucky Fried Movie and Toy Reviews. I think I was in something different before, so I went back to the original name. So
I noticed that. I like this one better. It's
Yeah,
nice and
I like
short
it.
to the point. I like it.
yeah, it gets better. My views are a lot better with this name. Like I never did. My views just dropped to nothing, Harley, with Kentucky Fried. I think it's just like a novelty, like the name's novel, and maybe where it's got Kentucky in it, people are like, "Fuck this," we're not like listening to this redneck. Yeah, yeah. So
You should just went. You should just went with KY, and it would have shortened it. People are like, oh, okay, I don't even know what that is, but we're
Yeah.
gonna listen. We're gonna listen to this guy.
maybe it's the KY jelly, man. Maybe we'll listen to
That's
that.
it. They don't know what they're clicking on.
Yeah,
You get that view count though, so that's all that matters.
yeah. Well, thank you, Lana, for coming on. We'll definitely
Yes,
have
thank
you.
you.
We'll definitely have you back again. You're
Thank
always
you.
wonderful,
Thank you.
and always, Jody. Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Anytime.
You too. Apologize for being
Yeah.
late yet again. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
get
thank
right
you
one
everybody
this
for
day.
joining us tonight, and we will get out of here and leave you guys alone.
All right. Awesome.
Awesome.
everybody.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good night.
Good night.
See you later. Bye.
Yep.